Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the new Dexter program. Now, I am a big fan of Dexter. I used to really love the original show. Season 4 is one of my favourite seasons of television of all time. Do I agree that it slightly went downhill? Yes, I do. It's a show that had its challenges, and I am intrigued and going into an open mind with the new show. Basically just going into it with an open mind. So yeah, I'm going to go into it with an open mind. I just thought I'd capture, before I watched the first episode, what I would like, little predictions, maybe with little hopes I have. So just a couple of the things I've noted is that I think before watching the first episode, there's things I'd like to see. I'd like it to capture back the original essence of the first 4 seasons of the original show, because there was something very crisp about it, something that just hit the mark very well and did it well, and it lost that writing as time went on a little bit. Obviously, as I know, the heads in the background of the show changed. So yeah, I think heads in the background of the show changed. I think it lost that original crispness as there was movement in the background of different showrunners and different writers coming in and out. So I think I'd like it to kind of have that essence again. Do I know much about the show? Not loads. I have seen a couple little mini trailers for casting. So obviously I do know that LaGuerta, Masuka and Angel are in it, and I do think their casting is actually pretty good. It throws me off hearing Masuka's laugh once again, but I'm glad that they've clearly captured that as a very clear part of his character. I am obviously a very big Buffy fan, and I have seen Sarah Michelle Gellar in the show, so I am gonna be slightly intrigued, because obviously she's not in that character isn't in the original show, so where this character arc is going to go. Is she in theory alive with the timeline, or does she come to an end somewhere in this series? Obviously I'd like little Easter eggs to the main shows, and obviously I know there was another spin-off to try and wrap up Dexter's character a little bit better, which I didn't mind as much, that series, but I can go into that in a whole different video. I'd like it to become its own thing, but balance the fact that it is a prequel show. So I would like to get its own enjoyment out of it. If you wanted, you could just watch this show, and then if you have watched the original series, there should just be aspects that kind of highlight and enhance that. You shouldn't have had to have seen the main series to get enjoyment out of this show. I kind of believe spin-offs should be extra additions, but not requirements, if you get me. They should just enhance the world without it feeling like you have to watch it, or you have to watch the main show to get enjoyment out of it, if that makes sense. You have to bear with me, I'm a bit ill, so my babbling might be incoherent this time, or it might be on point. Down the line, obviously I haven't seen I don't know anything about it. I don't know if they are going to be in it. I would like to see the introduction of Dokes at some point, not necessarily even this season, but I am, with the prequel, intrigued to see how that dynamic will play out, because obviously I know LaGuerta, she was partners with Dokes, and I haven't seen any any of him in the trailers. So hopefully maybe that'll be towards the end of the season, kind of spin-off, not spin-off, towards the end of the season, introduction to kind of entice you into the next one. I'd also like it to have its sense of humour that it had. It was very self-aware, the original show, right at the start. So it was kind of it kind of just worked with that self-awareness, and it didn't. Yes, it might have seemed a bit out there, but then it didn't come across silly, if you get me. I feel like a lot of the later seasons kind of become feel a bit odd and a little bit out there, and you're would this really yeah, it just, again, I can do more videos on the original show, because again, I'm a very big fan of it. The other introduction I'd like to see is Rita at some point, and the beginning of that relationship. Obviously I believe that they got together only a few months before the original series started, 6 months I think. So obviously I feel like that'd be a lot later down the line, but obviously I'd like to see that at some point. Hi, editing Fran here. Now, I'm just editing my Dexter video quickly, and I have just realised when I've said I am excited for the introduction of Rita, what a little random Buffy and Angel Buffyverse crossover. Darla, Buffy. Obviously, I know it won't be Darla, the actor of Darla this time around, but obviously, just the little, there's a touch of Buffy in each version of Dexter. So I just appreciate that little excitement I got in my head of just the connection of the two shows. So yeah, just thought I'd interject that. So back to the edit. But yeah, so they're like the main things that I'd like to see in this new series. Obviously, I've touched on the fact that Sarah Michelle Gellar is in it. I have also seen that Patrick Dempsey is in it. Again, it'll be very hard to see him not as Derek Shepherd. But I'm going to go into it with a fresh mind. It's just, them two actors, I very much have watched them for years in the same role. So it's kind of it'll be a little bit jarring, but hopefully I can break away from that as time goes on. Anyway, I am going to go jump into watching the first episode. So next time you see me, I'll be able to say my thoughts. So I have just watched the first episode of Dexter Original Sin. There was a couple of things that were so obviously right off the bat we're starting with the ending of New Blood, I think it was called, of New Blood, and obviously I say kind of hinting, it's heavily implying he survives, which is a whole thing in itself that I'm not fully sure how I feel about that. So I'm just going to mainly focus on the flashback / main concept of the show. Is it a fun, whimsical way of getting Dexter to reminisce about his life? Definitely, because when I watched that show, I kind of read it as the character is done with from a Michael C. Hall point of view. That kind of leaves the door open. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Only time will tell. So yeah, the main things that I think really stood out to me is right off the beginning, obviously the original Dexter music. It's nostalgic. It got me right back into the series. And then obviously the intro. So I really enjoyed that. And I wanted Easter eggs to the original show. I got them in full swing. I got Easter eggs, references. It's I thought it would be the concept of the show that I've seen in the trailers, but that was quite towards the end. So this kind of felt like an epilogue. This felt like a bit of a beginning chapter to that. It's not really the full run. This is kind of we're gonna give you a little teaser into the characters, see what you thought, and then before you get the full swing of Miami Metro. Obviously, I don't really know what my thoughts will be overall on the Sarah Michelle Gellar and Patrick Dempsey point of view. I'll have to keep watching the show to kind of update you on what I think about them characters, and can I forget about their initial previous great roles. But so yeah, I enjoyed the intro so far. I enjoyed the Dexter music. There was lots of Easter eggs calling back. We got a little bit of the Harry backstory, which I am intrigued about, and I do think could be a good, nice little just bit of depth to get me into these characters and kind of but kind of bring these into the characters fully, because obviously they've got the new faces. When Dexter and Deb and Harry have all these new actors playing them, obviously there's going to be an adjustment period while we get used to that. Did I enjoy Michael C. Hall's narration? Absolutely. It wouldn't feel like Dexter if he weren't, we didn't have his inner thoughts. And I do think it's a smart choice to have Michael C. Hall do the inner thoughts, because I just don't think it would have worked the same if they got the new actor to do it. I'm not sure on his name, sorry. Clyde Phillips is back. Great news. I kind of knew that bit already, and I think that is a reassuring, wise choice. I think it'll be very good to have him back at the helm of it all, because I actually quite enjoyed New Blood. Is it New Blood? Yeah, I enjoyed New Blood, and I think obviously it felt, when I watched the first episode of New Blood, I remember getting quite excited because it just felt like Dexter again, in a way that I don't think the last few seasons of Dexter felt like. So I feel like this could be that. And I do think there is hope for hopefully this franchise to kind of come back round and not focus too much on the original ending. Did I like the music throughout? The pop music throughout was a nice addition. I really enjoyed that. I was having a bit of a boogie a couple of times through it. And then we did get a Tonight's the Night. It was a very excited little cheer from me from that one. I say cheer, more me kind of saying it in unison with him. But yeah. So this episode actually goes into a bit more detail about his first kill, which we do see in the show. So there will be lots of comparison scenes, I feel like, between what we have now seen in this compared to what we saw in the original show. There are still many bad wigs, of course there will be. But yeah, so I think I couldn't remember too much about his first kill. It's been a long time since I've watched the original series. So I think it is a smart choice. And like I said, for new people who might be finding this franchise, it's a good way to kind of go into that. Do I think you could go into this first episode without watching any of the other stuff? Probably not. This is not quite my top tier for what I would say for a spin-off. It should be have its own identity. I do think it is heavily relying on the previous seasons, unfortunately. Do I think there could be potential for it to make its own identity through it? Absolutely. I just do think going into this first episode, you do need to have seen definitely the spin-off, the other spin-off series, because obviously it's a direct continuation of that, which I really didn't expect. And then just with a lot of the nods, and this first kill being one that's already referenced, because like it doesn't. I think it's fine it being his first kill. Like you don't obviously you understand it's his first kill, that is explained, but I don't think it's really fully. You kind of know, like Harry already knows. Obviously, we know that as the audience, but it's how Dexter works isn't fully really explained. It's kind of just like you already know this. We're jumping right off the bat. So that's how I feel anyway with it. I feel like you do need to have watched the other seasons, which, let's face it, 99% of the people watching it will be that. I just, from my expectations of a spin-off, I do like there to be a bit of like, you don't have to have fully watched it. You can like have its own little fan base if necessary. Like obviously there's always going to be links, but I do like it to have its own little identity. So it'll get there overall. I just don't think the first episode had it right off the bat. Do I like what I've seen of Miami Metro a little bit? Yep, I do like that so far. I think overall it was a good, strong episode, and I do think I enjoyed going back into this world. So it's definitely a strong one that I'll be watching more episodes from this point onwards, and hopefully be going into a bit more in-depth little reviews on it. So yeah, these are my first thoughts. I think it's a good retelling of his first kill. The actors are doing really well. I think there is chemistry between them all. Do I really fully believe? I think Dexter, I do believe a little bit. Like the new actor playing Dexter, I do believe him a little bit. Like I'm buying him as Dexter, but I think Deb, I'm struggling with a little bit more. But I do think it's not like, because her portrayal is great. I just think I've got the actress too much in mind for the old season at the moment. But I think over time, I'll definitely get into these characters a lot more, or these new versions of these characters. So this is the third outro I am recording. It's a few days later after the video you have just watched. Obviously, I had a lot of great thoughts. I also had a lot of rambling. I weren't very well, so this is why the video's gone up a little bit later. So I do apologise. Hopefully the next one will go up a lot faster and a bit more detail. I'm hopefully going to aim for. So hopefully you liked the video, and if you've stayed this long, I appreciate that. So please drop me a like, a subscribe, or leave a comment on what you thought on the episode. But anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!